But you know who I feel sorry for? Who I really feel sorry for is a gay man's sperm. Just think about that. That's a tough destiny. Being a sperm inside of a gay man, this is hard luck. Because if you're gay, that's great. But your sperm is not gay. Your sperm is just excited, like, we're next, fellas, here we go. Is that shit right there? Who's shitting this chick's pussy? But it's tricky, you know, if you're trying to teach your kids right from wrong, you got to choose a side often because not everybody agrees on what's right and wrong. So how do you know? Like abortion, some people think it's murder, some people don't. I think people should get abortions, like a lot, like as many as you can. You should try to get a lot of abortions. You know why? Because it creates jobs. More abortions, more jobs. For the doctors and the nurses and the dumpster guy, everybody gets a job. They have to work. How are they gonna feed their kids if you don't kill yours? You gotta think of everybody. Abortion is a big topic, of course, because Roe v. Wade was overturned. Roe versus Wade, of course, we all know what this is. This was a court case. Roe was a woman who wanted an abortion, and Wade was the baby, I guess, I don't know. I'm just assuming. I never found out who Wade was. Wade must have been the baby. Anyway. But now that we don't have that, every state has to come up with their own law based on how people feel. They have to listen to people and see how they feel. I think most Americans feel, on average, the same thing about abortion. They feel like people should be able to get abortions if they need them, but, just keep it down a little bit. That's all. That's just go ahead, but, come on. Do it, but don't be like, woo-hoo-hoo! Like, just, So we need a law that covers that keeps it available but limits it. Here's what I think we should do. Let's make this the law. You can get an abortion anytime, anywhere, but if you get an abortion, you have to eat it. I think that's fair. Because that'll make you, fuck, I gotta eat it? I better do it soon. Just trying to make everybody happy, Some Catholics believe that contraception is murder. They think if you wear a condom, if you stop a sperm from getting to an egg, you killed a possible baby. By that logic, I could say that any woman that won't fuck me is a murderer. Let me tell you, there's a bunch of murdering bitches out there. But
without any further ado, please welcome Louis C.K. Come on!
thank you. Hello there. Hey. Okay. All right. I'm gonna talk to you for about an hour, and it's weird. It's weird what I do. Somebody asked me once if it takes confidence to, nobody asked me, but I just want to talk about this. If it takes, it does take confidence to do this. It takes not a general confidence, but a specific kind, you know? There's lots of kinds of confidence. There's personal confidence. I don't have much of that. Personal confidence is like a man wearing white pants. That takes, you know, tremendous confidence and optimism, really. To leave the house in white pants like it's gonna be a great day. It's gonna be no puddles or pizza, nothing. I could never wear white pants because I'll get my period, first of all, I know that. Or diarrhea, more likely. That's really my period. Diarrhea. About once a month, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Better just get home. And don't make any big decisions today. It's true, don't make, if you have diarrhea, don't negotiate. It's a bad bargaining position. If I have diarrhea, you stand between me and the toilet, I'll sell you my house for 10 cents. So that's one kind of confidence. Here's another kind, moral confidence. Moral confidence, that means knowing that you would do the right thing, knowing that you wouldn't do something wrong. Moral confidence. You can have that in your daily life, because a lot of your days are the same. But what if you were in another time? I would love to believe, I feel confident that I would not have had slaves. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have had any. Even if I lived in 17 whatever, in Virginia, and all my neighbors had slaves, I would have been like, you guys are dicks. I can say that, but it's easy to say that now, because you can't get no slaves. You just can't get any. That's why you don't have slaves. It's not because you're better than back then people. It's because they're not available. That's a huge contributing factor. It's not a decision you need to make every day, like you're crying your groceries, but oh, fuck, maybe I should, I don't know, I better not, but geez, it would be easier. Because they're not there. It's not like they have slaves at Home Depot. I mean, they kind of do. But, yeah. There are some forms of kind of slavery. You can get a Russian woman to do whatever you want because her family's hostage. That's one of them. But that's still temporary. I mean, you could adopt a 12-year-old from Bangladesh and I mean, really, he'll move into your house and do your laundry and suck your dick, whatever you want. But even he gets to leave when he's 18. Although, who wants them when they're that old? I'm just saying, excuse me. I'm just saying that slavery gets rebranded, but it doesn't really ever totally go away. I mean, it's been part of human history. Going way back, slavery. Even the earliest civilizations in Mesopotamia, I don't know if I didn't go to college, I don't know anything. But the earliest images of human life already had the guys going, ugh, and the guy going, yeah, motherfucker. How early did we come up with this? From the beginning of human existence, we evolved, through ideas. We were a scared naked ape. And then we were like, make a fire. It's a good idea.
Hunting an animal and claiming its pelt, that's a clever strategy. Sowing seeds and patiently awaiting the harvest, equally brilliant. But let's be real, we humans quickly realized it's far smarter to delegate the hard stuff. Me, I'm kicking back, doing absolutely nothing. Getting others to handle the work was practically our third big breakthrough on this planet. So, sure, you can feel bold and confident, but you've got to temper it with some wisdom. History is littered with choices I'd never make. Take Auschwitz, for example. I wouldn't have touched that with a 10-foot pole. What's the use of a place like that? It's not something you can brush off as a product of its time. Auschwitz was an abomination. They slaughter people, men, women, even children. Tiny kids who might have grown up moved to a place like Brooklyn and carried their own flaws or biases. But they were robbed of that chance. It's gut-wrenching. I had a buddy, a comedian in the UK, who made a quip about Auschwitz and got absolutely roasted for it. Huge backlash. At one point, the official Auschwitz account on social media called him out. I kid you not. A verified account, blue check and all. I was like, whoa, it's really them. They tweeted something like, this is no laughing matter. I'm thinking, why is a death camp running a Twitter account? Who's sitting there managing Auschwitz's social media? Oh, I got a summer internship handling Auschwitz's tweets. Recently, I've dipped my toes back into dating, and let me tell you, it's a nightmare. Nobody's out there enjoying this. Even when you're pumped because someone agrees to go out with you, by the time the date arrives, you're regretting it. Every time I'm standing at their door, I'm secretly hoping they're not home. Like maybe something awful happened, and I'm off the hook. I don't want to spend 3 hours in some restaurant, sweating through awkward small talk, struggling to breathe normally. But every now and then, you get one of those rare days that's just perfect. It kicks off with a good vibe, maybe a quick joke that lands, and you both crack up. You find common ground, click on the big stuff. Even when you disagree, it's lighthearted, and you laugh it off. You can sit there eating, comfortable in a little silence, and it doesn't feel forced. When you drop them off, you're thinking, I really want to see you again. They smile and say, same here. And you're like, this is something new, something good. Then you get home, and your wife's standing there like, where the hell were you all night? I'm older now, divorced, and lately, I've been going out with younger women. They just tend to catch the eye more, you know. It's not like I was always chasing them. Back in the day, I dated women my age or older. My ex-wife was a year older than me, and we were married for a decade. But some guys are fixated on younger women, and some cultures even have these weird formulas like, take the man's age, subtract 10 years, then fudge the math until you're dating a teenager. I didn't go looking for younger women, I just got older, and they started showing interest. Younger women are often drawn to older guys. It's a thing, but nobody talks about it. I don't do anything special to attract them. I'm just standing there being me, and they're like, it'd be so wild to hook up with that old dude. Then society points the finger at the guy. You see an older man with a younger woman, and everyone's like, what a creep. No, maybe she's the one with the weird taste. He's just into attractive women. Who isn't? What's up with her for liking him? I was with this one woman around 35, and while we're in bed, she starts calling me daddy. I'm like, whoa, please stop that. She goes, what? Does it freak you out because you have daughters? I'm like, no, it freaks me out because I had a father, and I called him daddy when he was doing things to me. Thanks for laughing at my pain, by the way. I wasn't exactly chuckling when my dad was abusing me. I was too busy dealing with the trauma. He was good at abusing me, though. Not his fault, really. I was a mouthy 10-year-old, probably egging him on. Poor guy was like, I know I'm screwing this kid up, but I can't resist. Thanks for coming out to the show tonight. I hope you had a blast. Get home safe, all right? Earlier today, I was reflecting on my life, thinking about how I grew up. I used to joke that I was raised in an orphanage a block from my parents' house, but nah, my dad's Mexican, and my mom passed away. So I'm half dead on her side, half Mexican on his. People sometimes don't buy that I'm Mexican. I tell them, and they hit me with dumb comments like, you don't look Mexican? What's that even mean? Like I'm out here trying to fake my heritage. No way, I'm Mexican through and through. My parents got divorced when I was about 10. Now I've got kids of my own, and their parents, me and their mom, are divorced too. I'll never forget the day we told them we were splitting up. They were only 5 and 2, so we had to break it down in a way they'd get. We sat them down, and I said, You know how you love your dog. You sneak its scraps from your plate, even though we tell you not to, because you love it so much. Like that time you gave the dog ham after we said no. Well, that's why we're getting divorced. You kids don't listen, and it's driving us up the wall. So we're moving into separate houses, and we'll each have you half the time because, frankly, neither of us wants you around all the time. It's heartbreaking because I love their mom, and she loves me, but we just can't deal with you kids anymore. That's how we laid it out. I was brought up Catholic, but I walked away from it. Didn't sit right with me. They scared the daylights out of kids with all that hellfire talk. You're 5 years old, surrounded by these grand churches, priests in fancy robes, and they lean down and say, "You're headed straight to hell." You're like, "What did I even do?" And they're like, "Oh, you know exactly what you did, you little sinner." Eternal torment, no questions asked. The idea of a separate hell for kids doesn't exist. You get that if you're a 5-year-old who swipes a crayon from your sister, lies about it, and then gets flattened by a truck. You're bunking with Hitler in the afterlife. No distinction. None. They drag you into this room where they're pouring molten lead into Hitler's backside, and he's screaming in agony. Then you stroll in, and they're like, "All right, kid, you're up next." Hitler's over there, wincing, going, "Best of luck, little guy." Poor Hitler, you know? At this point, he's been roasting down there for 75 years. He's probably the welcoming committee for new arrivals in hell by now, handing out tips like a seasoned veteran. It's grim, no question about it. When I was a kid, the concept of hell terrified me. I remember learning that, according to the church, gay people were destined for eternal torment. That freaked me out, not because I'm gay, but because I started worrying, what if God thinks I'm gay? What if I give off some vibe that seems a bit too flamboyant to the Almighty? Like, what if he catches me stubbing my toe and yelping in a way that sounds suspicious? Suddenly, he's up there thinking, "Oh, I know where you're headed, you sinner." That was the church's logic, not mine. I don't buy that God hates anyone for being gay. If anything, the old joke goes that God made you gay because he's got a grudge against you. Kidding, of course. There's no God up there keeping score like that. You can build moral confidence without all that fear, though. Do good deeds, help others. It's not mandatory, but it's a start. Take homeless people, for example. They're everywhere around here. Not in this venue, mind you, zero chance of that. They're not allowed in here, ticket or no ticket. That's the unspoken rule we all agree on. Everyone's like, "I don't know how to fix homelessness," but they're definitely not coming into our spaces. They're stuck outside, barred from the places we take for granted. It's like they don't have the right to exist indoors unless it's their own. You won't spot a homeless person at the airport, for instance. Bus stations. Sure, they're sitting right next to you, but airports, they can't even get close. Ever seen a homeless guy at your gate? Like, "Hey, buddy, I'm trying to catch a flight to Tokyo. Can you hook me up with an aisle seat?" I've been touring the country, and they're everywhere. In Phoenix, during a scorching summer, 120 degrees, there they are, standing at intersections with signs, practically sizzling. You can't even tell what they looked like before the sun baked them. One guy's holding a sign that might as well say, "Help, I'm literally burning." But you're cruising by in your air-conditioned BMW thinking, "Sorry, can't help, there's glass between us." In New York, it's different. You're walking and they're right there in your face. Every few blocks, you're forced to decide, do I help or keep going? You can't help everyone, and a couple of bucks won't fix their lives. But the choice keeps coming up. There's this one homeless guy near my place. Doesn't live anywhere, but he's always on the same corner. I pass him daily on my way to the store. Not just any store, mind you. I'm hitting up Claire's, the kids' jewelry spot. I grab a handful of scrunchies and bolt home. Everything else, Amazon. Anyway, every morning, this guy sees me and goes, "Hey, can you spare something?" I'm like, "Sure," and toss him $5. 5 minutes later, on my way back, he's like, "Hey, can you spare something?" doesn't remember me, which is fine. But I'm not giving him another 5. I've only got a few million to my name, you know. Why do I act like that's his one shot? Like I'm worried I'll spoil him or something. You got your $5, pal. Don't get greedy. Today I was thinking about Jesus. After some personal reflection, I started feeling bad for the guy. Jesus had it rough. You know, that last day was brutal, but his whole life was no picnic. Look at the old paintings. He's trudging along, carrying a cross, wearing nothing but a glorified dish towel yanked up to his waist, probably chafing like crazy. People say, live like Jesus. Are you serious? The guy was intense. You can't mimic that. I've been reading about him in this book I've got. Well, it's partly about Jesus. Just a small section. The rest is endless stories about the Jews wandering the desert for decades, scraping by on a drop of oil, or some guy named Jacob buying a goat while Abraham lives to be 800. Early on, everyone's apparently ancient until God's like, enough with these 800-year-old Jews. Time for heart disease. The Jesus part is tiny and it's repetitive. Matthew tells the story of his life, then Mark jumps in like, nah, that's not how it went. I was there, here's the real version. Then Paul chimes in, and everyone's like, Paul, you weren't even around. Shut up. I started reading it because growing up Catholic, I never did. The church doesn't exactly push you to crack open the Bible. Jews study it in Hebrew. Baptists gather to read it together. But Catholics, they want you in the pews listening to them tell the story. You ask, can I read it myself? And they're like, put that down, I'll explain what happened. But when you do read it, it's wild. Some of the stories aren't these grand, divine tales. They're just slices of Jesus' everyday life, raw and human. Let's talk about one of Jesus' miracles. His first big one, turning water into wine. This is from John chapter 2. Picture this, it's the third day of a wedding feast in Cana, Galilee. Jesus' mom, Mary, is there, and Jesus gets an invite along with his disciples. The party's in full swing, but they hit a snag. They're out of wine. Mary, ever the observant one, leans over to Jesus and says, son, they've got no wine left. Jesus, sounding a bit exasperated, snaps back, woman, what's that got to do with me? It's such a human moment. You can almost hear Mary's desperation. Maybe she's got a bit of a wine habit herself. She's at this wedding and the bar's dry, so she's like, Jesus, fix this. And he's just like, Mom, chill. But you know how the story goes. Jesus doesn't leave them hanging. He spots the guy in charge of the feast and, like some street magician pulling a card trick, says, check the water barrels. The guy looks and boom, it's not water anymore, it's wine. The whole place erupts in cheers, except maybe the host, who's probably thinking, great, but we still need water for, like, basic hydration. I bet a lot of Jesus' miracles got mixed reviews like that. Take Lazarus, dead for 4 days, rotting in a tomb. Jesus rolls into town, shouts, Lazarus, get up! And out stumbles Lazarus, blinking in the sunlight. His wife's probably standing there like, you've got to be kidding me. I just got used to being a widow. Now, here's a story about Jesus you won't see in any blockbuster Bible flick. It's never been preached in a sermon I've heard, and I only stumbled across it by reading the text myself. It's weird, and it's about Jesus cursing a fig tree. Anyone know this one? Her pause for applause. All right, a few of you. This is straight from Mark, chapter 11, when Mark was apparently having a rough day. So Jesus arrives in Jerusalem, takes a look around at all the sights, and as evening falls, he heads out to Bethany with his 12 disciples. Bethany's like the suburbs of Jerusalem. Think of it as where you crash at the Holiday Inn instead of staying downtown. The next morning, they're trekking back from Bethany, and Jesus is starving. He spots a fig tree in the distance full of leaves and thinks, score, maybe there's some fruit. He walks up, but it's a bust. Nothing but leaves. The figs aren't in season yet. Jesus, clearly not in the mood, turns to the tree and says, no one's ever eating fruit from you again. You're done? His disciples are standing there, probably exchanging looks like, okay. The next day, they pass by the same tree, and it's completely withered, dried up from the roots, dead as a doornail. Peter, always the one to point out the obvious, says, Master, look. That tree you cursed, it's totally dead. Jesus just nods and says, have faith in God. What kind of story is that? Hey, Jesus, you murdered a tree. What's the takeaway? Jesus was hangry, saw no figs, and took it out on the tree. He's like, no fruit. You're trash. Die. And the tree's probably thinking, dude, it's not fig season. Give me a week. You want off-season fruit. Hit up a market. You cheapskate. You can't just go around acting like that. Throw tantrums over fruit, and people will nail you to a cross. That's exactly what happened. Jesus got too big for his britches. He struts into Jerusalem, his crew hyping him up like, King of the Jews, everybody! The locals weren't having it. They're like, not our king. And next thing you know, he's on a cross. That image, the crucified Jesus, is the strangest thing about Christianity, especially Catholicism. It's the defining symbol of this massive, polished religion, yet it's a guy nailed to a cross, bleeding out. You see it everywhere, in churches' homes, even the fanciest places. The president's giving a speech, his wife's in pearls, and there's a bloody Jesus on the wall. It's morbid, but it's pushing these wholesome ideas like honor your parents. I love it, though. I was raised Catholic, and I'm drawn to that image. Every time I pass an open church, I pop in just to check out their Jesus. They're all different. Some show him in agony. Others have him looking like, well, this is a pickle. I've seen empty crosses like, oops, Jesus bailed. I went to a Korean church once, and they had a Korean Jesus. Distinct features, no mistaking it. Don't get mad. It's just what I saw. Usually, Jesus is depicted with blonde hair and blue eyes, which we know isn't accurate, but that's what the victors decided. Some say Jesus was black, but you rarely see that. Black Jesus would be like, yo, get me off this thing! Everyone wants Jesus to look like them, so they paint him that way. It bugs me that he's always stick thin, though. I've been grinding at pilots for months to prep for this show, and it's not fair. You never see a chubby Jesus, like with extra nails to hold him up. He might have been hefty, who knows? One thing's for sure, he wasn't Korean. No Koreans in Jerusalem in year one. A friend of mine sent me some porn recently. Yeah, people just casually send that stuff now. It was wild, two really old guys, like ancient. And they're going at it enthusiastically engaging with each other's private parts. I was shocked they had the energy. One's perched on the bed, socks sagging around his ankles, while the other's on his knees, using a pillow for comfort, just fully committed. Then they swap places. I watched long enough to see the switch, then called my friend like, why'd you send me this? He's like, because it's incredible. And honestly, it kind of was. Not in a turn-on way, but it's inspiring. You see an old guy shuffling along with just a grapefruit in a bag, and you think, man, that's sad, but maybe he's got a wild side you don't know about. Porn's different now. It used to be you'd hunt for your specific thing, but now you hit a site, and it's everybody's preferences thrown at you all at once. You can type in a search term to zero in on what you're after, or just browse and stumble across something new. One time, I came across fart porn. Yeah, fart porn. Never thought I'd be remotely curious about that. I'm not into farts. They're fine, I guess. I'm probably letting one rip right now. Have been this whole show, if we're being honest. I didn't click on it because I'm obsessed with farts. It was the title that hooked me. The title was Sweet Girl Farts in Your Face. Come on, who's not clicking that? Sweet Girl Farts in Your Face. I'm in. So I hit play, and there's this girl just standing there looking genuinely nice, like wholesome vibes, pink sweater, little blue buttons, the works. She looks into the camera and says, hey, I'm so happy you're here. I'm thinking, wow, she's actually making me feel warm and fuzzy. Then she turns around like she's reaching for something, saying, hold on, I got something to show you. I just picked it up. And bam, she lets one go. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, the title warned me, but still, I was caught off guard. She just farted right in my face, and she seemed so nice. The best part, though, was her reaction. I expected her to be all smug, like, yeah, take that. But no, She's mortified, going, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that." I've never been more intrigued in my life. It hit me that it's not about the fart itself, it's the shame. The raw, awkward shame of this genuinely sweet girl who just blasted one in your direction and regrets it instantly. The worst part, I've been chasing that high ever since, and nothing compares. Every other clip is just some uninterested woman going, "Here's a fart." Like, come on, put some heart into it. Where's the remorse with kids? All you can do is your best. Nobody's got a perfect moral compass. When I was young, they fed us lessons just to keep us quiet. Our morals were basically shut up and behave. Like they'd say, slow and steady wins the race. Really, does it? You know what smokes slow and steady? Fast and consistent. That'll crush it every time. Slow and steady might beat old and falling apart, but that's about it. Stop feeding kids that nonsense. A lot of what they teach is just to mold them into polite little robots. Like, don't use bad words. They tell kids there are forbidden words, and you just don't say them. I can't exactly preach that to my kids since I sling words for a living, but I didn't want them growing up to be rude, so I'd tell them, look, there's no such thing as a bad word. Words are just words neutral. But some people lose it when they hear certain ones. So if you're going to use those, size up the person first. Try to guess if they're the type to clutch their pearls. Sometimes, though, you accidentally offend someone without even trying. There are phrases where you've got to commit and say them all at once, no pauses. Don't clear your throat halfway through. Like, you don't want to say, there are too many black people, cuff, suffering from discrimination, or we need to stop the Jews, ahem, from feeling excluded. Or, I once slept with a baby, pause, and then I slept with him again. You've got to power through, or people will think you only slept with that baby once. Here's the harsh truth, you're gonna die, but the silver lining, as you get closer to the end, you'll probably want to. Life doesn't stay all rosy. It's not like you get to keep cruising at peak condition. I'm 55 now, and my body's falling apart. Both hands ache. Both hips are screaming. I'm lucky I've only got one set of private parts to worry about. When you're in your 30s, you don't even notice your body. You're just gliding through life like, hey, this is awesome! Then one day, you realize there's an end point and people are dropping off it. At first, it's distant, like, that's weird. But then it creeps closer. And you're late, I knew that guy, oh no! There are little signs your time's running out. Like, they stopped making my shampoo. Just discontinued it. I'm like, why? I was the only one keeping you in business. So I decided I'm gonna make my own. Looked up the ingredients online, ready to play chemist. Then I caught myself at a dinner party, telling a whole table, yeah, I'm working on crafting my own shampoo. That's when you know it's time to zip it. Keep that stuff to yourself. Just do your thing and exit stage left as soon as you can. I got a stain on my shirt, don't I? Yeah, it's fine, I'm fat. I'm a fat guy. My pronouns are that fat dude. But here's the kicker. I've got body dysmorphia and I think I look great. I'm cool with this. I made a choice this year. I'm done exercising. 55 years, and I'm calling it. If I quit now, maybe I'll hit 75 instead of 78. Big deal. You know who inspired me? Trump. He's got this wild theory. Nobody taught him this. He just made it up. That you've got a limited number of movements in life. So you should move as little as possible to conserve them. He's like, sounds legit. And he's sticking to it. And it's kind of working for him. I'm not into modern exercise fads either. Peloton, that stationary bike with a screen yelling at you. Pass. Or those mirrors that coach you through workouts. Hard no. Don't even get me started on the imaginary gun they hand you to end it all. Kidding, obviously. I don't think you should kill yourself. That's my